Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the beloved 10-minute experience this morning. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you. I'm here to talk to you about our prophecy. Our prophecy is everything that we think, do, or say today that creates our tomorrow. And to really take ownership for what it is that we're thinking, saying, and doing. This experience that we are creating for so many of you, the beloved 7-day, offers an opportunity for the practitioners, for the consultants, for the speakers from around the world to inspire you to create your best life. So we had on Monday, Stuck to Unstuck with Peggy Bell. On Tuesday, we had Focused Exercise with Dr. Karen Lubin. On Wednesday, we had Evolve Your Business with Antonina Menev. On Thursday, we have our Prophecy with Kornelia Stephanie. On Friday, we have Peaceful You with Julie DeLuca Collins. On Saturday, we have Conscious Parenting with Dr. Bob. And on Sunday, coming soon, we have Light Up Your Soul with Kate Schultz. So this is just fabulous, that this momentum that we're creating, which is what one of our founding members, the word he used, James Ash, is momentum. And this is the momentum with what we think, say, or do in our right now reality that's going to create our tomorrow. So today I want to share a story about something that was inspired by Peggy Bell. When Peggy shared her story in Stuck to Unstoppable, a story on Monday, it made me think about this story. And I've never told this story before. So this is the first time I'm sharing this openly, vulnerably, and just out with to you. So the story goes that it was, how many of you have a dream, had a dream, have a vision, had a vision that you want to materialize? Show of hands. Great. So a lot of you have that experience, had that experience. And so for me, it was in September of 1993 when I was looking for God, when I was looking to find out if there's anybody here, and if there's a reason for the madness that was transpiring in my life. So to give you a little bit of context, at the time, I was still a drug addict. I was on drugs for 13 years of my life. I was walking in with the shadow of suicide all those years until that time in September of 93 is when I had an encounter with the Holy Spirit, when I had an encounter with God. And since that time, I have, where before I used to want to look outside of myself for God, now it was that I look inside of myself. But those of you that know that how it works in life, once we're really in alignment with our soul's plan and our soul's calling, because it's not the mind's plan, it's not the mind's calling, it's the soul's calling. That's what we're here to do today, is we're here to embody the soul and to follow the soul's plan, whatever that is. So at the time, though, I didn't know that, because I had a lot of pain in my heart. I had a lot of things that had to get sorted, that I had to make right. And I didn't even know if I could do it. I didn't know, was the next time when I felt like I wanted to commit suicide and kill myself, Was it going to happen? Or is my faith and trust in God now going to support me not to take action on those things, on those feelings that I would have? So it was in December then of 1993 when I was homeless. And for those of you that know the Bible or have read the Bible, probably my story can be told in some of those ancient stories that when everything was taken from you and you had nothing left, that's what happened to me. Everything was taken from me. I had nothing left. The only thing that I had was my encounter with the Holy Spirit, and that's it. And then God sent an angel, a person that invited me into her home to take me off the street and give me shelter in the winter of 1993. The only thing that I had then was I had a journal and a pen, and at that time, I was so raw. I was so ready. I was so ready to discover and stand in whatever I came here to do. But I didn't know that at the time. But I did write a declaration. I did write a letter to God, source, the universe at the time. I mean, this was in 1993. There were words that I spoke during that time that I don't use anymore because those words don't resonate with me today. However, that declaration and that letter that I wrote was something that was deeply embedded in my heart and in my soul. And that is what I came here to do. How many of you would like to hear me share with you what I wrote? Guilty myself before I surrendered, no faith in life. I used to live my life as most people do now, as if there are no principles or truths to follow. Doubts and frustrations and despair turn their minds to kinky substitutions to find meaning in life. Drugs, sex, much of the occult form of the restless activity that we pursue in a frantic effort to keep one step ahead of emptiness and loneliness. What the world needs desperately, God, we don't need logical arguments to convince us on how to live our lives to be happy in everything we do. I believe it's possible. Miracle workers need it to demonstrate in vivid color, flesh and blood people of all races who radiate happiness in all aspects of their lives. My wish is to team up with other gifted individuals who are controlled by the Spirit to join me as a team of miracle workers to save the earth. I have the answer and the greatest weapon and desire to take on the biggest job that everyone believes is too big for anyone. Of course, that's exactly what inspires me and drives me crazy to prove that miracles really do happen. It has been said that the cure and the ills and the crimes of humanity lie in one word, which is love. To each of us, it gives us the power of working miracles, if we will. That is my soul's call. And that is what is happening here on planet Earth today. Back in that time, I was still thinking that it was me that was going to save the earth, me by myself, or that the earth even needed saving. When today I realize that it's all of us, each and every single one of us, with the thoughts we think, with the actions that we take, with the feelings that we feel, that is creating our tomorrow. And being in alignment with our vision, with our dreams, with our soul call takes a lot of courage. So as we're moving into this next session today here, I want to talk to some of you. I want you to share some of your dreams, some of your visions, what you know that lights up your soul, what you want to be here to do and share with us today. Because I know That's what we're here to do. We're here to co-create a new earth together. In my introduction this morning, I didn't introduce myself as the beloved I am, co-creator of heaven on earth, because we're co-creating it together, all of us. And I know that it's not just me by myself, you by yourself. It is us as one, all of us doing our parts. And it takes a lot of courage and determination to stay true to the path and not give up. And there has been so many times when I wanted to give up and let go and not follow through with what I came here to do and be as a soul embodied. So thank you so much for listening and tuning into this session today. I know it's gone way over time, but like I said, I don't care. I don't care because it's my session and I can do what I want. And this is the first time I've ever told this story. So I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear if this moved you in some sort of way. I'd love to hear what you want to share. Yes, Mr. J?
Kornelia, good morning.
Good morning.
You know, I was thinking the other day, a coach reached out to me and asked me for some advice on coaching, you know, to coach clients. And I said, I think now more than ever, people need relatability, even over likability. They need to see a real and raw person. And because when people are talking, they need to feel and see and understand, does this person get me? And because there's no substitute for experience, you really can't get somebody unless you've walked in their shoes. Not to say even if you've walked in their shoes, you get them particularly. Anyway, two things. When you were talking, it reminded me of an episode of Touch by an Angel I used to watch in the 90s. And the name of the show, I think, was Ask the Answer. And everybody had all these problems. And Monica just kept saying, ask the answer. And at the end of the show, she finally told people, you have to ask the answer. And when somebody says, well, what does that mean? She said, who's the source that has all the answers? God. And so you reminded me of that when you were talking. And you also reminded me that I think I have a great support system. And maybe it's here. I think I need to be more open up to being more proactive and getting involved with people that are in touch with their spiritual self. I think that's a huge component that I think I need to pursue. So thank you for that reminder.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I love watching you evolve, Mr. J, since I've known you in the short time and what I've seen you do and what you're doing. I'm just getting the chills right now. So just seeing you evolve, seeing you speak, seeing you share what your heart is, what you're sharing, what you just shared with me, it very meaningful. And so keep going because, you know, first and foremost, you are a father. And what a wonderful father you are to your children. What a good man you are. And I appreciate you so much being part of this community. I hope that when you said that you're looking to connect more spiritually with people, that this is it. You know, it's like Peggy Bell has said she has found her tribe and in this community. And so I hope that you as well, that we can have more conversations like this. And maybe today, this is what our podcast can be about. As we move forward to do our podcast here, that maybe we talk about what's real, because I came up with the two words of courage and determination more than ever right now, because we're really being asked to stand in our light, really being asked to stand in our light, being asked to stand in our courage. What is it, our values? What is it that we believe in? And I mean, for me, it comes down to being godlike. And I'm not speaking to your ego, I'm speaking to your spirit. What does the hero in you act like when it is acting and coming from a heroic, most loving, compassionate, strong, courageous stand? It's that. Yes, Kate?
So I wanted to say I totally agree with with what you were saying. I think the vulnerability part is so important. And I think it's so important, and the relatability. So I have been working on like just being vulnerable in that way. For example, I was telling somebody the other day, I'm not wearing makeup. I'm not doing my hair. I'm just like, I'm letting people see the real me. I'm not prettied up in any way at all. And I also, as some of you guys may have heard when I did my pitch some time ago, I'm really trying to get my story out, which is, it shows that I come from a really rough beginning, because people look at us and they don't know, like you said, Jay, they don't know, they haven't walked in our shoes, but they're like, oh, it's easy for you to do. You don't have the problems I have. But, Kornelia, you just shared the problems that you had were pretty severe. The problems that I had growing up were pretty severe. And yet, we've risen above them by being tuned into spirit, really more than by funneling light into our cores. So, I think it's that all of those things are so important to show people our really authentic self. And I'm trying to do more of that. And yeah, so just thank you so much for sharing that. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Who else would like to share? Yes, Annie?
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for sharing that. That in itself takes courage. And if it's the first time that you've talked about that, then thank you. Yeah, it touched me because I've had to brush with suicide and also working with my clients in the LGBTQ plus community. There's the higher rate of suicide within that community. So working with them through all their struggles. But unlike Mr. J, where I find my answers are within me, because I just need to listen to my own gut feeling. And yeah, it's right most of the time, or at least all of the time. But yeah, suicide is an issue, particularly at the moment as well. I don't know about America, but in the UK, the bills, the electricity bills, the gas bills, they are going through the roof to the point that we're probably going to see quite a lot of death come winter, especially with hypothermia, etc. So there's, it's so prominent.
Well, and all the people that have worked their whole life for having a retirement at this stage in their life and whatever, or are not able to feed their families, or are not able to take care of themselves the way they thought they would, with the way our global economy is playing out. Financial security and having our basic needs met is our birthright. It's our absolute birthright to be on this planet. And the shadow of suicide is no joke, because at a point it just becomes all too much and you don't see a way out. And so that's when people act on their emotion and commit this crime, commit this crime because they don't see any way out. What I've discovered, because I've tried to commit suicide, but 93, I was probably, 15 times of committing suicide, that the angels intervened and stopped that from happening. And that's the reason why I'm still standing and why I'm still here. And so the shadow of suicide that I've now transcended over the time, what I had learned is that when people want to commit suicide, doesn't matter what the situation is, there's pain. They see no way out. And really what they want to kill is not necessarily themselves. They want to kill the pain.
Yeah, that is so true. And I speak to my clients about that. Is it that you really want to end your life, or do you just want those emotions, those feelings just to go away?
I think we're
That
doing
pain.
a podcast right now, actually, is what I'm getting. I think this is the podcast.
Okay.
So, I just have to record an intro for it later, but I think this is the podcast. So we'll just carry on. But thank you for sharing that, Annie. Where can people listen to your podcast in the LGBTQ community, because we'll just make this the podcast. This is really good, especially how open and vulnerable Mr. J shared what he did. People will be able to really hear themselves and connect, because that's the missing piece. The missing piece is we as a humanity are yearning for connection. We want to connect with each other. But, it starts with us. We have to show the way, because we've been there. We've done that. And so how do we do that? How do we connect with each other in that vulnerable, raw way, where we're not all made up? We don't have it all together. This morning, I'm not feeling 100%. And I said to myself, I could have canceled the meeting. I could have said, I'm not going to do this today. I could have done all kinds of things. And I said, I'm coming here to do my best. And that is all. That is all. That's all I'm going to do, is do my best. So what would you like to share, James? You said something. You had your hand raised.
Yeah, well, first of all, that was really powerful. And I'm really pleased that you said this will be a podcast, because I was going to say I have far too many questions that are probably better suited to a podcast. So I'll pick out one of those now. This is a podcast, and I've got huge respect that you shared that, and you said it was the first time that you've shared that, which must be a real milestone for you in your journey since 1993. And I'd be curious, when we look at milestones on recovery, on moments in time, is when you think, when else was there a moment in time, a milestone that you realized that was who you were before, that it was very done, and felt it was done, because I'm sure that early it probably may have been tougher as you go through it, and time is a healer, and all of that. What stands out to you as a moment in time that you really realized it felt that it was behind you, and it was almost you were that person that you're not anymore?
So another milestone, thank you for that. That's a really beautiful question. I just want to let you all know that I have done, I'm going to answer that question. I'll get to it. I have done over 400, up to 400 podcasts and videos and shows with speaking stories and interviewing people, done over 400. When I look at the shows that I've done on myself, where I was being interviewed or where I was sharing something deep like I did today, it's connected to what you just asked, James. And that was another milestone. It's interesting because in the app, in the KS Media Group app, for those of you that will listen to this in the future, download the KS Media Group app so that you can create your free account, and that you can click on this video that I put on the bottom home screen page where it says Feel to Heal the Body. And that video right there is one of my favorite podcasts that I have ever done, and out of all of the ones that I've done. And that is the milestone, James, that you're talking about, asking me, when did I know it was done? And that was clearing, feeling to heal the emotional core wounding, which was also listening to my soul's call, when the soul said, I want my own body of work. I don't want you to go and do somebody else's work. Coming into my own authority as a healer, as a woman, as a sovereign being, as my own empowerment, in my own authority. When you have people pleaser habits, and various different forms, to where being an internal leader, standing up on your own, again, takes huge courage and huge determination, because you have to stand in your conviction even when people don't agree. Even when people don't agree, and even when you're standing, again, breaking free from the status quo, breaking free from the crowd, And, because like I said, in Annie's session this week, when she was asking us, what does your authentic self mean to you? Previously, I had shared what it means to me now at that point is really being my authentic self, being my raw, vulnerable, authentic self, who I am becoming today. And now it means that even sharing that being your authentic self is disruptive. It is disruptive to who you are becoming because we're peeling the layers. So when did I know it was done? It was when I healed the emotional core wounding. And that was a deep, deep body of work that my soul took me through, because I'm an experiential learner. I learn through experience. So it's not, my life has never been, nothing has been traditional from the time I was, born, and my childhood, nothing, because I grew up in a very dysfunctional childhood, in, sexual abuse, alcoholic parents, father not present. So trust me when I say to you that the fact that I'm standing here today is a miracle. It is. And that's why I know that we can overcome the things that we came in to experience and recover from in this lifetime. And it's very challenging to, feel and sort out all our miscreations from the past and the situations that we find ourselves in. But it's definitely doable. It's definitely doable, because I'm an example of that. And so what I want to share with you now is that no matter what it is that you're facing, no matter what your dream is, no matter what your vision is, you came here for this, and that you have everything you need inside of yourself to face anything that you need to face and deal with, because you got this, including if you don't know how to pay the bills, including if you don't know where your next meal is going to come from. It's not worth giving up your life for that, because maybe, just maybe, a new earth is being created, and maybe, just maybe, all the ways that we have thought that we were secure, all the lies that we had built on, are not sustainable and are not good for us anymore. So maybe, just maybe, we're going to find a better way. All of us are going to find a better way. That's what I believe. Dr. Bob?
Thank you so much. I mean, that really was quite moving, and I was quickly scurrying around my files during your talk because it reminded me of a recent articles. A couple folks, myself and another person, wrote that one of the primary problems in our society and for our children right now is what he called 8RDD, relational deficit disorder. And one of the anecdotes to that is what we call SSNRs, safe, stable, nurturing relationships. And as we look at the problems that children and families face in terms of adversity and trying to incorporate some degree of resilience and even flourishing, let me just read a paragraph to you if I could. We said, what is the connection, the secret sauce that helps enable children and families to thrive? Dr. Annie Gardner eloquently reminds us that the capacity to develop and sustain safe, stable, nurturing relationships is relational health. He further notes that by meeting our basic needs to feel safe, understood, and valued, relational health turns off our body's stress response and limits the long-term consequences of significant adversity. Relational health is also the platform for learning the skills to cope with future adversity. I like the term SSNRs because so many people in our society, inappropriately so, are on SSRIs. SSRIs are antidepressant drugs, standing for selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, a mouthful indeed. But what we need more of is SSNRs, and hopefully we would decrease the number of folks that need SSRIs. And so what you relate is obviously a complex story. It's not easily, you could not easily go back and say, well, if I had safe, stable, nurturing relationships, would that have eliminated this or eliminated that? Not necessarily, but I think it would have significantly diminished the risk of the situation you were in 1993. So relational health, and as Mr. J said, and the other folks, and as Kate said also, relational health is the key. And that's the work for all of us.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. And I'm going to add to that by saying that the relationship that you have with yourself, with your soul self, is the most important relationship to nurture, to love, to bring approval and acceptance to bring adoration to nurture that relationship, and then bring that relationship to every single encounter, every single relationship that you have. That is what I've learned, because at the core of my being, I discovered self-hatred. I discovered that I hated myself. I mean, can you imagine hating yourself to the core? And then you're going to do all these sabotaging behaviors to keep reinforcing that belief and that feeling. So loving the self, honoring the self, nurturing the self, loving the self, being courageous in the self, even when no one else approves. I was so mad at God for a long time because everyone had their children, but I didn't get any. I didn't have any children. And so my job this lifetime was to love and nurture that inner child in me that was starving for all the love, for all the acceptance, for all the approval that I didn't get from my parents, from my churches, from all the places that I was looking for. That's why in September of '93, when I said, is anyone here? Is there anyone here? And where are you, God, in my life? Where are you? Do you even exist? That's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother topic, but I want to get to Susan.
Hi, thank you, Kornelia. I am off screen, but I'm listening, and I want to say thank you. I want to share here that my journey to what I call the light, enlightenment, my personal soul transformation journey included all of what you just said, and that brought me more confidence, and my business transformed when I, over the 15 years ago, began to reveal my own truth along the lines of what's been discussed here today. And so the KS Media Group app supports people in life, and those of us who are in the app are in business. And it's all really a sacred circle coming together in the way that we're showing here today in this conversation. So I wanted to thank you so much, Kornelia.
Good. Thank you, Susan. Yeah, it's always about all of us that are here. Every single one is an entrepreneur. Every single one is, let me see, let me just scan. There's definitely a lot of authors here. Not everybody's an author, but if you've ever written an article, you're an author. If you've ever written a blog, you're an author. So we have a lot of business people here. And a lot of us have made our business, our work, our passion, have made that our life's work. What it is that we're doing today, what it is that we're dedicated to. How can we serve people? How can we love people? How can we help people? How can we be true to what we came here to do? And a lot of us are doing that. So Julia, you had your hand up. I want to offer you the opportunity to say something.
Don't know what I want to say, but very moved by your story, I guess, because there's resonance for me. Can I share a little of my story?
Yeah.
So I think that when I was a very small one, a baby, my resource literally was God. That's what kept me alive. And as a young adult, I was very lost, and I remember feeling that everybody else on the planet deserved God except for me. And then through the decades of healing and transformation, I remember when the search was no longer outside, it was no longer searching outside. It was so clear that it absolutely was here, is here. And that affects the nature of relationships. Then you spoke, Kornelia, about when you're aligned, everything falls into place. I just know that that is true. That's it, folks. I was gone super shy, but it's very tender.
Great laugh. Great laugh, by the way. And you know what I really like too is I like those moments of silence when we're all present, fully present, deeply listening. Suddenly there are no thoughts because we're fully present. Peggy?
Yes, Cornelia, you moved me to tears, so I couldn't talk for a while, but you know, the vulnerability and the openness of what you said just, I know, resonated with so many people. And I just think of, you know, because I speak of the gifts that we all have to share with the world. That's part of my message of what I do in my business. And I was just thinking, you know, you had all these thoughts of suicide and attempts, and the world would have been such a loss without you. And it made me sad to think of that. And I think of all the people that have those thoughts now, and if they'd only realize just how precious they really are and how they do have so much to offer the world. I just want to say I'm grateful that you're here. We all are benefiting from that.
Now that's bringing me to tears. You better believe I'm going to listen to that again, and I'm going to put that message that you shared in my file of when I need a pep talk. Because there's times when we all need a pep talk, when we all need an atta girl, when we all need that. And to discover for myself that what I offer, that whatever I'm offering is a value. I had to discover that value within myself. And I had to make that the cell memory of the truth, not the opposite of the not good enough, the not worthy, the not deserving, none of those things, because that was the soul work. That was that milestone that I was sharing with you, James, earlier. And when you guys have time, listen to that video that's on the homepage of the app when I was interviewed by Dr. V. And that show was one where I received the most traction in where I received the most connection, I should say, because people could relate to what I was sharing. And that's the piece that you were talking about, Mr. J, is relatability. Is people being able to, if a speaker can invoke emotions with the audience, they're present for you. They're listening to you. And if you can do that within the first 3 minutes, it's good, because now you have a connection. Now you're establishing trust. Now you're moving them. I mean, the fact that I can stand here and move you brilliant people, because you all are so brilliant. You inspire me, every single one of you, that incredible being that you are and that work that you do. You inspire me. If I can move you, that's wow to me. It's wow. It's well done. When I get off this call today, I can go to bed. I can be done because I will have done a wonderful thing. And just think, when I wasn't feeling good this morning, and why wasn't I feeling good? Was it because of all the challenges and all the opportunities that I'm facing and that I'm dealing with currently right now by myself? Or was it because I didn't know how I was going to tell the story? How was I going to communicate?
Right.
Leading and being in this group. Was that why? Or was it because my heart wasn't feeling good, just because things are heavy in the state of the world today? And I'm tired. That's true. So, but here we are, and look at what we're co-creating together. And again, I always find it an honor and a pleasure to be with you. I appreciate you so much that you're part of this community, that you're here, and that you are, that this is way bigger than the app. It's way bigger than our directory. It's way bigger than any of that, because we are gridding a new consciousness with together with our brilliance, with our groups, with everything that we're doing, and we're supporting and loving each other. And it's like I said a few weeks ago, when I said, if we can't talk about it here, where do you think we can talk about it at then? Because I'm speaking with some of the most evolved, enlightened people that I know right here. And so if we can't build bridges here to where you can have an opinion and I can have an opinion, and we don't necessarily need to agree on it, but that we're curious and open to hear each other's perspective, that matters. And that is making the world a better place. And it is usually during those uncomfortable times when things like that take place, right? Where new neural pathways are created, more love is extended, because we are listening to each other. We're curious. It's not about the division, dividing. It's not about you being right and me being wrong. It's about us belonging and having a place for community. And it begins here. Because if it doesn't start here and in your home, with your family, in your community, then where is it going to be? Because certainly in the world, we see nothing but division, lies, confusion, separation, poverty, pain, all that. So, is there anyone else that would like to say anything before I close this session before I close this session of this podcast, because this was good. And I didn't even know it was going to be a podcast. So, but it just turned out to be that way. So thank you so much. So Annie, go for it.
Yeah, just hearing you
Phil
talk.
also raised his hand. Phil also raised his hand, just so you know.
Yep. Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, just listening to you, and what always comes to me is our passion comes from our experiences, and being able to bring our journey and our learning and our growth to the clients that we serve.
That's it. That's it. Phil.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. I'm focused on the person that opened their home to you. That seems to be a real big key in your transformation. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it was an angel that was sent when I was homeless to offer me a place to live. And when I met this person, it was almost like a knowing that it's God has his hand, her hand in this. That was that kind of a feeling that I got, because think about it, when you're homeless and somebody's asking you to come to their house, you're like, I don't know, what are you going to do to me? What do you want to do? I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. It's that feeling. But that woman, Linda, and her aunt Vi loved and nurtured me for 1 year and took me off the street so that I can find my way. That was it. Yeah.
So the way that I see it is each one of us is those people that opened up your house, whether it's personally or in our businesses or when we're just randomly talking to someone in the grocery line, right? That's our responsibility to others, because look at the effect that it has. And I know you guys all know that, but it's just a reminder how important what our behavior is and what we say to people and how we put ourselves out there. So I just wanted to say that was awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Good. Thank you. I'm kind of shocked right now myself, because I had no idea this would have this kind of effect. And it appears that the people that showed up today, this was exactly what we needed to experience and what we wanted to create as a soul being, and sharing and connecting with each other. Even what you shared, Mr. J, you're looking for more connection, you're looking for more community, for more spiritual, for that spiritual connection that you talked about, evolution, honesty, the spiritual honesty. Next week, I'm going to share with you guys another very powerful piece about God's house and what I discovered. And it comes down to always, it's me and my pen and my journal. It comes down to that. And, if everything was gone, I'm going to have my pen and I'm going to have my journal and I'm going to go walking. And that is really, that serves me. So anyone else before I close out today's session of the podcast? Yes, Donna, welcome.
Thanks, Kornelia. So I think it's no accident that I ended up on here today. So at all, no accident at all. But thank you for sharing your story and more of your story. I got to hear some of your story one-on-one with you. So to get to hear more of it today was incredible. And as Jay said earlier, it's like myself, my own experience and what I have committed to do, the work I've committed to do in the world is very much about that connection and about sharing our stories, because I really think that we've got lots of experts out here in the world, and I'm not discounting that either, but I think that when we get to hear each other's vulnerable, authentic truths of what we've experienced, what we've, come to understand, that's the invitation for others to look within themselves and see what they can glean in their own lives. And I think that's the light. I mean, that's when we can share the light with each other, is by sharing the pain that we've come through and, what we've come to know and how we've come to be in the light. That's how others can recognize the light within themselves as well. So I just, I'm glad to be here today, because it's another validation for me too, that, it's like, keep on this path, because I know that it's important work. And when anybody says, because I'm a writing coach, an editor, publisher, just so you know where I'm coming from, as well as an author, when anybody says, and I've experienced it myself, who am I to think anybody's going to care about my story or want to hear my story? Or who am I to think that I have anything of value to add? It's like every story is significant, because every one of us is significant. Every person on this planet today is significant. We are all having an energetic impact on what's happening with our planet. in our universe. So Kornelia, thank you for making this space for all of us to be able to share that and share in that and help cultivate that, because it's the light. We need the light for sure. I'll stop there.
Yeah, it's so well said, so well said. As you can see, everyone, I invited Donna to be part of this community and to come into our community. And, you can see and hear why I did based on just what you know of her in this short little while. So I want to thank you, Donna, for speaking and also sharing all that you did, and all of you, for everyone that shared their voice here today, that shared what this meant to you and what this experience that we co-created together today. And now that when I put this on a podcast and it goes out, that it may touch all those people that are ready to receive these amazing blessings that we shared with everyone today, in our vulnerability, in our rawness, in our realness, in all of it. So when you're listening to this podcast, just know that you can download the KS Media Group app from the App Store, download it from Google Play or Apple Store. Create your free account so that you can have access to all the amazing speakers and voices that you heard here today, and so that you can stay in touch with us. And by all means, look at our homepage of our beloved 7-day, 10-minute sessions. One of the things that I heard this week more and more when we're seeing more new faces come in, and that is, I needed that 10 minutes. I needed that, like Susan would call it, a boost. I needed that lift. I needed that story. I needed that expression. I needed that connection. That's exactly what I needed. And that's why we have the 10 minutes, so that you can take your time, 10 minutes, and really connect again to keep moving forward and create the life that you're meant to live, while we're watching the old world dismantle in front of us. So that's not an easy job, but we got this. We got this. And I believe in that. So thank you, everybody, for listening and tuning in. I'm going to close the show now. Kornelia Stephanie signing off here with these amazing world speakers from around the world, supporting you to live your best life. Okay, thank you, everybody.
You've been listening to the Kornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio. Kornelia's joy is to engage others in practical ways, showing us how to live in the new earth in harmony with our true nature. For more information on Kornelia and her extraordinary work, or to listen to past shows, go to her website at korneliastephanie.com.